Let's say you're a professional musician or artist or a photographer or some other sort of designer or creative person in need of a portfolio website. Well, in this tutorial, we're going to build exactly that using WordPress, the exact same website software used by Fortune 500 brands and major companies, which you can browse on the WordPress.org showcase, and the same thing that professional web developers use most often today. In other words, we're going to learn in a do-it-yourself sort of manner how to build a website that a web developer might charge you thousands of dollars for. The website that we're going to build together today in this tutorial is also completely mobile-friendly responsive. If we visit screenfly.com, we can check out how the website would look on different devices. However, my favorite part about this website is that it all exists on one single page. That means that potential clients or employers can browse your website and check out all your stuff like your contact form, your downloads, your social media section, or just your skills and the icons that show them off without leaving the site, opening up any new tabs, or having to wait for load times or slow internet or anything like that. Of course, while we're going to build this exact website, you could make anything you want throughout the course of this tutorial using the skills that we'll learn. And of course, this single page layout is just one of the many settings that our WordPress website will come with. In other words, you can make a website with as many internal pages or blog posts or things like that that you want. Before we start building this website, I want to tell you three things. The first is that unlike all of my other tutorials, in this tutorial we actually are going to learn a little bit of CSS and HTML coding. And I want to teach you that just so you can go ahead and add that item to your list of skills. HTML, CSS, and of course WordPress are absolutely essential skills in today's job market. You might not know it, but putting them on a basic resume or being able to show off those skills in an interview can really set you apart and land you the job. So what we'll learn is a little basic CSS and HTML to change the font of our logo, which is going to be pretty fun. The second thing I'd like to reiterate is that if you contacted a web developer in your local town to build a website like this, they would charge you at a minimum hundreds and probably thousands of dollars. Most people these days charge at least $300 just to install WordPress for someone onto a domain name, which we're going to learn how to do right here. And then they'll charge thousands, up to even $5,000 for designing a website. And really all it comes down to is just learning how to use a content management system like the one we're looking at right here. I'm not going to say piece of cake because there is a little bit of a learning curve, but hopefully this tutorial will take you from beginner well into intermediate and give you some peace of mind that you actually know how a website works. Speaking of which, the third and final thing I'd like to say before we kick off this tutorial is exactly that. How do we build a website? How does the domain name relate to that thing called web hosting you might have heard of? And where does WordPress come in order to build our site? Let's take a quick look at how websites work. As the famous online brand GoDaddy.com tells us, it all starts with a great website name. Now, that could be anything like Facebook.com or Google.com or maybe YouTube.com as well. Your website name is just ideally what comes before the .com or the .org or the .net or whatever extension you go with. Ideally, you want to grab a .com if it's available, because that's often the most memorable for visitors, meaning that people will be typing into their browsers and visiting your site a lot more, hopefully. But as you might guess, it's not quite as easy to come up with a really catchy and memorable domain name as it used to be, and a lot of the good ones like youtube.com are taken. So I have a few tips on your domain name. First of all, if you can pick up your first name, last name.com, that's a great bet. You can never go wrong with this option because it's very personal. Or if you can't get that, maybe first name, last name, music or art.com would do just fine. Secondly, if you can come up with something clever like twitter.com or something like that, which has a story based on your brand and also implies what your visitors or customers would do on your site, that's great too. Maybe people just call you Tall Venti Latte, and that's your nickname. So you make that your portfolio domain name. That would work as well, even though it's pretty random. But the point is, nicknames work well. Lastly, if you want to improve your SEO a little bit, it might be good to include some branding in that .com, .org, .net, or whatever you get, because that way people searching for similar words, or keywords as they're called in Google, might get your domain name in a higher position of the search results. But don't overdo it with the branding. The best place to get your domain name is at GoDaddy.com, and you can get them at the cheapest possible prices. Once you register a domain name, it will take it off the market, meaning no one else can get it. However, when people visit your domain name, they won't see very much other than a splash page from wherever you registered it, like GoDaddy. It's kind of like creating an address for yourself in the phone book, but not building a home. So when people would visit the address, they would just see a sign from your realtor. And that's where hosting comes in. Once we have our domain name, we're going to want to point it to our hosting, aka web hosting or self-hosting, which is really just some virtual storage space. And physically, it's probably located in an airtight chamber, highly guarded by security, off in the middle of nowhere. The best option for your new portfolio site is to get a cheap domain name from GoDaddy.com and then to use a place like HostGator.com that specializes in website hosting, because that way you get access to the best website hosting tools possible, like a one-click WordPress install, and you get more personalized support from a slightly smaller company. However, you should know that HostGator.com does offer domain names as well. They just cost a few dollars more for the convenience of having everything in one place. To recap, our domain name is like the house address, and our hosting is like a house. So once we have those two things, someone can visit your domain name, like youtube.com, and see whatever it is you put on the hosting. If we were to actually visit youtube.com, we would see all the content that the YouTube developers have uploaded onto the YouTube homepage. This is of course a little bit more complicated than what we're going to cover, but one cool thing is I will show you how to upload your own videos to your website, the portfolio site. So really, maybe you could create your own version of YouTube with a combination of lots of videos and different web pages. Alright, speaking of web pages, once we have our domain name and our hosting, we want people to see web pages when they visit the hosting. And the way we establish that is by putting web pages on the site. In the olden days, this required a lot of HTML and CSS. So when someone visited your hosting, they would see a bunch of code that the website browser, like Chrome, would convert into an actual page. However, nowadays we have tools like WordPress, which automatically convert that code into a web page and also make it so we can look at something a bit nicer, like a content management system or CMS, instead of looking at just pure code. So that's how it works. We have a domain name, our website hosting, and then we have WordPress, which we use to put web pages onto the hosting, which people can visit by clicking to our domain name. And I put this little social media icon section over here too, because Really, sites like Facebook and Pinterest and Blogger are really ways of allowing you to create web pages too, and put up content as well, like pictures and text. The catch is that you don't own those websites. They're owned by the company like Facebook. So you don't get full control of the layout, and the layout can change at any time. A big theme with our portfolio site will be ownership. You're going to own it outright. And something people don't realize when they go ahead and make sites with Blogger or Tumblr or make a website with Facebook even, is that they simply don't own the stuff, which can become a problem as you grow in your business. Alright, so I hope that helped and put it in perspective how you can create web pages with social media sites or with WordPress like we're going to do. Do let me know if any questions come up in the comments. Alright, now let's look at something really important, which is how much is this new portfolio website gonna cost us? It ain't gonna be free, but that doesn't mean it's expensive either. Alright, in the order of what we're gonna set up in this video, we first have our domain name, which costs $15 per year. Domain names are an annual cost that we all pay for, and the standard going rate is $15. However, I'm going to also show you where to get discounts on your domain name through GoDaddy. Alright, next is our web hosting, which is the home that our domain name lives on, and that's going to cost us about $10 per month. That's a monthly cost that we pay for. We're going to get our web hosting in this video, like we mentioned before, through HostGator.com because they're really simple to use, professional, and they just plain work. I hope me telling you this saves you some time choosing from the hundreds of different web hosts out there that want your business. But if you do go with a different web host, then I hope this tutorial still works fine, and happy to help with any questions. One cool thing about HostGator.com is they offer new users like you a coupon when you sign up. So HostGator has some of their own coupons, but I have coupons that are greater than that amount that their coupons offer, which are coffee money. Alright, this coupon will give you 1 cent hosting in your first month. You would only pay 1 cent to try out the hosting and therefore try out the WordPress and the website. So that would take away some of the risk that you might have financially. And the other coupon I have is called Take 30 Off. This coupon is a 30% off coupon. So if you registered your site for a whole year of web hosting, which is what I did when I first signed up, you can use Take 30 Off to get 30% off that total, and hopefully that saves you some money to use for other things. Alright, once we get our domain name and our web hosting, we can get WordPress, which is free. WordPress is free open source software, and it is the .org version. Alright, so you may have heard that WordPress costs money or something, but that's not true. What is true is that the domain name and the web hosting always cost a little bit, and you need to have those two in sync to install WordPress like we're going to do in this video without any sort of tech knowledge required whatsoever. I'll show you all of it. Alright, so WordPress is free, and next up is the theme we're going to choose, which is a synonym for template or design. Every WordPress website has a theme, and our theme right here is really awesome, and it's actually originally designed for wedding websites, which is kind of cool. I've just figured out how to use it for a really nice portfolio website, and this is the theme right here. Alright, we're going to get our theme from Envato Market, which is the largest WordPress theme vendor online. They're a huge marketplace that people use, very common, and this theme costs $38. Alright, so every WordPress website needs a theme, and we basically upload the theme to the site, again with no tech knowledge required. And there are lots of free themes on the market too, so if you'd rather use a different one, that's totally fine with me. Let me know if you need any recommendations. But this particular theme is my recommendation for this tutorial because it gives us this new and impressive one-page layout. Alright, so that theme is gonna run us 38 bucks. Alright. And lastly, we have our content, and that will be free. I'm gonna show you how to get free content from Google, which is also copyright free, so that you can use it on your website. And I'm gonna show you how to get things like icons and different fonts and all sorts of images for free. Alright, so that part's going to be really fun, and we're going to get to that content after we register our domain name, set up our web hosting, install WordPress, install the theme, and then do the content. And that theme, if you think it's a little bit expensive, I definitely understand. That is really an optional part. You can still set up a portfolio website without the theme. Although I really like it, and I've seen it work wonders for my clients and also for myself. Alright, so adding up those numbers in my head, I get 15 plus 10 plus $38 spent today, which comes out to $63 for our own portfolio website, hot off the press, the WordPress, and also the priceless do-it-yourself experience, which you can take to other walks of life. Whenever anyone like yourself or your family members or any of your friends need a website. So that's that. Let me know if you have any questions on what's a website cost. We'll refer to our checklist as we move through the tutorial, but now it's time to go ahead and register our domain name. And for those folks who have already registered a domain name and already bought it, then go ahead and just skip forward in the video. Here I am at GoDaddy, and it tells us the price right here of the various domain name extensions that we might want. There are new options like .rocks and .club, but we ideally want a .com. And even though this says $12.99, I'll explain why that is in a second. So one domain name I might want for a new portfolio site is gregnarayanwebsites.com. Let's see if that's available. And it is. Alright, so now that it's available, I would right away want to click select. But first I want to make sure that it's the right .extension I want. And we can see right here that the domain name was actually $15, but GoDaddy always puts on some sort of sale like this just to get us excited. So they've set this domain name to $12.99. Alright, if we scroll down, we can check out our options for this domain name. And there are tons. Now, what GoDaddy wants is for us to get a little bit overly excited and go ahead and buy up all these different extensions, thinking that they'll all become really valuable or that we'll want them in the future or something like that. But don't do that. Go ahead and just get one domain name if it's your first domain name ever. A little side note, I'm actually going to build this website on naraigai.com, which is my nickname and also my YouTube username. That's just a nickname that I liked getting, so I got the .com. But we can go through the process of getting your domain name on GoDaddy as well. So to take it off the market, we would click select, verify the ability, and now we're good to go. And then I just want to continue to cart. Alright, GoDaddy's going to try to upsell us on all sorts of other stuff, like protect my personal information, which we don't need because the website we're going to build is very secure. And then some other things like the basic website builder and the basic hosting plan at GoDaddy, which we also don't want because we're going to build our website with HostGator, which I consider to be a superior service at the moment at least. Alright, and then we're going to add email to the domain, or actually not. So make sure these say no thanks. I can show you how to add email to your domain at no extra cost because we can do that through HostGator's web hosting for free, if you want. Alright, with that done, click continue to cart. And now it's time to remove our order. Make sure that this term is only how long you want. Alright. And then you can see we get the total cost of $13.17, which is not a bad price, but I want to see if we can do even better. So I'll tell you right now, you can go over to a website I've used before called Fat Wallet. Alright. And Fat Wallet's a coupon site, so we're gonna check them out for a GoDaddy coupon to try to save money on our GoDaddy order and try to get this number lower. Alright, and I don't know what coupons are available at the moment in the way that I did know what's available at HostGator over here. And unlike the HostGator coupons where I get a small commission for referring you to their services, thanks by the way, I don't get anything for the Fat Wallet coupons. I just have used them before and they work more often than not. So if we search GoDaddy, then we can go ahead and see what's available. This one looks pretty tempting, although that button is a little bit annoying. I don't want to sign up, I just want to write in CJCFW99 coupon. So let's try that. Let's have a promo code and let's write that in and then apply. Alright, so that saved us an additional $3, which is good. Making progress. But what you're going to want to do is just try out a couple more coupons and see if you can get that domain name cost under $10, because I know I've done it before and I've also helped some of my friends do that before as well. So enjoy those coupons, and I'm going to move on because I'm not buying the domain name here. Like I said, I'm going to build the website on naragai.com, which I already bought through GoDaddy. Alright, so registering your domain name with GoDaddy to take it off the market and make it your own is really easy. I'm going to go ahead and cross off domain name. Once you create your account with GoDaddy and make payment, they'll send you some information like your username and your customer ID number and your password. And your customer ID number is basically your username, and I'll show you how to sign in with that right now. Of course, make sure to save that information in someplace safe, because once we get our hosting, we'll need that information at GoDaddy to link our domain name with our hosting. But for now, we can actually just check out My Domains by clicking Manage My Domains. Alright, so you'll get your very own screen like this. However, you might only have one domain name, but we can see all of my domain names listed here. Except for we can't see this domain name because it's for a private client. Alright, so this is an awesome screen. Alright, so this screen is really important here though. It's where you would manage your domain names by doing things like setting the name servers, managing DNS, renewing them, or just making other changes that you might want to make. We're going to need to do that one step called set name servers to link our domain with our hosting, but we'll do that in a little bit, and for now let's move on and get our hosting. Alright, now that it's time to get our hosting, we can head over to hostgator.com. And we see right away that they're having a 55% off all hosting plans in honor of the spring. So just a nice bonus for going with HostGator and going with this alligator here named Snappy. Of course, when you visit HostGator, it might be a different time of the year, not spring anymore, and this hosting plan sale might be gone. I will tell you that there's a huge sale every November for Thanksgiving and for Black Friday, but if there's no huge sale going on at the moment, then you'll see a 20% off sign, and if that's the case, you'll definitely want to make use of the coupons that we saw before. Alright, I'll tell you more about HostGator as we go through the process, and let's go ahead and move on by clicking web hosting. Once we do that, we'll see this screen. Alright, and now when we're here, we can just choose a plan. Alright, these are our three basic plans. The hatchling is great for a single domain name, just one website. The baby plan is the same as the hatchling, except for it lets you host unlimited domains. So if you wanted a website for your family or your friends, or if you wanted to start your own web design business or several websites for a school or a company, this is a great option. The hatchling plan is actually what I started with, and then I upgraded to a baby plan. And the business plan is probably too much for now, so we'll leave that alone. Before we sign up, I want to click on features, and then we can learn a little bit more about HostGator. Alright, so let's just keep scrolling down. And right here, this talks about how HostGator lets us use the best applications on the web. WordPress is the one we want, of course, but you also have access to other content management systems if you want to try them out, just for fun or for your business or your own expertise. Alright, we also get some nice features with HostGator, and it's kind of cool to know that they host over 8 million domains. So among the nice features are a 45-day money-back guarantee. So if it turns out that I'm just completely wrong and HostGator isn't the host for you, then you can get that 45-day money-back guarantee and go sign up somewhere else. And then you also have 99% uptime guarantee, meaning a guarantee against the website ever going down. Alright, good to know that. Additionally, we have $100 towards Google AdWords, which can be fun to try out some Google advertising and test your luck at that. And you get some other cool things like website templates. And the last thing I want to point out is the latest cPanel. So what cPanel is the software to install websites. It's the back end. And having the latest one means that you'll be using the best possible back-end software on the web to install WordPress and create the site. Alright, you won't be using anything outdated or anything at risk of not being updated anymore. You will have the latest cPanel version, and that is going to make this process really smooth. Alright, so HostGator has a lot of other good stuff going on for them, and they're basically the Google of web hosting. Now that we know a little bit more, let's choose a plan for our hosting, and I want to choose the baby plan in the case that you want to have more than one domain name. Alright, so I'm going to sign up now for baby, and I'm actually just going to do it for 1 month. Let's click sign up now. Alright, here we are in the HostGator order form, and the first step is to choose our domain. Like I said before, you can register a new domain name through HostGator for $15, which I believe they discount to $12.95. or we can say we already own this domain, which is what we're going to do. Alright, once you write in your domain name, they'll give you the option to buy other domain names, but we just want the .com. Moving to step 2, let's make sure we have a baby plan and that we're getting this seasonal discount for a whopping 55% off. And now it's time to create a username and a PIN with HostGator. Alright, now that we've created that, we can move on to step 3. So we're really moving along here. And step 3 is where we'll enter our account information, which is also our billing information for HostGator, much like it is on a site like Amazon.com or any other major e-commerce online store. Once you do that, go ahead and choose credit card or PayPal, and if you're an international user, then PayPal is the best option. Alright, we can see this particular screen changes if we click PayPal, because after we create our HostGator account, it's going to redirect us to PayPal. So let's keep this on credit card, and yeah, this is all something that millions of people use every year and thousands of people go through every day when they create a website, so pretty standard. Alright, moving on to step number 4, we can choose the additional services for HostGator, which I'll talk about really quickly. SiteLock is good if you've had a bad experience with malware in the past on your computer. If not, I don't consider it necessary. Site backup is also definitely not necessary because WordPress backs itself up automatically. And even if it didn't, you could always contact HostGator's live support and ask them for some backup copies of your site on your own. So not necessary. And then this last part is definitely not necessary because WordPress comes with free SEO plugins to make your site rank better in search. So we don't need any of these additional add-ons, and it's good to not spend money that we don't have to. Alright, here at the bottom in step number 5 we can enter a coupon code, and in step number 6 we can review our order. But we'll notice right away that the order total is pretty massive, and that's because we just didn't set the billing cycle to 1 month like we wanted before. Alright, so once we do that, we get the correct amount due and the correct totals down here. I will demonstrate the other coupons just in case the 55% off seasonal deal isn't available. So if that weren't there, you could go ahead and type in coffee money and then click validate, which would give you a huge discount of $9.94 and an amount due of 1 cent. I believe it was flowers before. So in this case, using coffee money is advantageous. We would rather pay 1 cent instead of $4.48. And the coffee money coupon is good because it's good for our first month, and we're just ordering 1 month here. If you were going with a longer term order, like 1 year, then coffee money would not be helpful because coffee money applies, like I said, just to the first month. We only have 1 month chosen of hosting, of course, and HostGator needs to charge us something. It can't be completely free at 0.00, so that's where the 1 cent comes in. If you instead use coffee money coupon on a total of something like 6 months of hosting, then it'll just take $9.94 off whatever that amount would be, and you won't get the 1 cent hosting deal. In other words, you have to choose just 1 month of hosting to get the 1 cent hosting deal. And after that point, you can of course renew or buy more hosting, but you can't use another coupon. So keep that in mind, and you might realize that the best possible discount is to use a percentage discount like take 30 off on a longer period of time, or instead you might realize that you just want to pay 1 cent for your first month and then decide after that. Up to you, depending on your current needs and your current financial situation. Alright, once you've filled everything in and confirmed that the order total is good, make sure to double check that your email is written incorrectly above, because HostGator is going to email us some information needed to continue setting up our website. And then go ahead and check this box right here. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this payment before you're all ready to go. I know this can be stressful. And then once we're ready, let's finally purchase our hosting package and move on by clicking Checkout Now. The next step in our tutorial after the confirmation message from HostGator takes place in our inbox. So head over to your inbox, and don't worry, I've already deleted any interesting emails from mine. You don't want to see all the food I order on Seamless anyways, especially not the late night pizza. Alright, once you're here, you want to look for an email called HostGator Your Account Info, followed by the domain name. And if it doesn't come up at the top of your inbox, you can go ahead and search for it. Just like the GoDaddy emails you got, you never want to delete this initial email from sales@hostgator.com, because using it right now, we're going to link our domain name with our hosting account. And to do that, we're going to use the first name server and the second name server. Head over to your GoDaddy, and then we've got to sign in one more time. And then let's click on Manage My Domains like we did before. In this screen that comes up, you want to click on the domain you just registered. So, like I said before, you probably will just have one domain name here. Now, I'm just going to click on a random domain name as an example, because the website for naraigai.com is actually one that I just bought through HostGator. So that won't show up in my GoDaddy domains control panel. But what we want to do is click on a domain name, and then in the domain details, we want to click under Name Servers on Manage. And we can see this domain is already pointed at my name servers at hostgator.com. What you want to do is change the first name server and the second name server from standard to custom. Click on custom first, and then you can enter in these two new name servers, and you want those to match exactly with the first name server and the second name server from your email. So at this point, I have several domains and websites and accounts with HostGator, so I have several name servers. But you'll just have a first name server and a second name server that you want to insert in the first box and the second box at GoDaddy for your domain name of choice. And then once you do that, you're going to want to click Save. Once you do this, you're resetting your name server settings, at which point it'll take 72 hours for your new domain name to point fully at the new web hosting. Now, what that means is just a process of propagation going on in the background, and what that means is that all the different web servers on the web are being told that your domain name is going to a new place. And the standard time period allotted for propagation and for all the different web servers around the entire web to be notified about your new domain is 72 hours. Of course, one of the internet service providers being notified is the one that you're using, something like Time Warner or Verizon in your local town. And if you're in a populated city, this time will be much less than 72 hours. For me, in New York City, the time for propagation is usually only about 2 to 4 hours. So if you're in a populated city with a high demand for internet and technology, then your domain name should point to your hosting in much less than 72 hours. And when you visit it, you'll start seeing the HostGator sign instead of the GoDaddy sign. But if you're out in the desert or maybe the rainforest, then it could take the whole 72 hours. With your name servers now set, your domain name will be linked to your new hosting plan. So we can cross off web hosting. And now it's time to go ahead and install WordPress onto our HostGator.com web hosting. Alright, to go ahead and install WordPress, we have to go back to our email from HostGator.com, this sales@hostgator.com email, and now we have to click on your control panel link. Before we do that, let's copy the password, and then let's click this link and go to our control panel. And you might be wondering, well, can I proceed in this process now that propagation is going on in between my domain name and the hosting plan? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Your domain name and your hosting plan are actually located in separate places, and they're communicating right now, but that doesn't affect the ability for you to build things on your hosting plan. That part is technically separate, and the fact that propagation is going on doesn't prevent you at all from doing things within your hosting plan, aka within your cPanel. Another way of putting it is that when people start visiting your domain name after propagation has successfully happened, they want to be taken to your website, not to some page at HostGator. So it's actually good that we're setting up WordPress right now, so that people will have something nice to look at when they visit your site initially. Alright, welcome to your new cPanel, aka control panel. This is the software that some of the web's biggest web developers and web designers use every day, and you're going to learn how to do some really cool stuff in it right now. So if you were a smart aleck, you might say that, well, how are we going to build this website when it's already here? Isn't it already built? And the answer to your question would be yes. I did already build this in advance, so that I can go ahead and rebuild it for you in this video and know how to do everything involved. That, of course, would save us time. Of course, one additional step we need to do before we can build this site then is to delete this site. So let's go ahead and have some fun, and let's delete an entire website. Alright. Now I won't fully walk you through this, but I will show you the deleting process. I don't recommend doing this, but if you do need to delete a website, this is how to do it. We basically open up the file manager for the domain name that we're building on. Again, you might just have one domain name, and I have to make sure that it's the right one, because if it weren't, then I could delete a different site, which would not be good. But it is the right site, naragai.com, and I'm just going to select all and then say sayonara and delete the files. Alright, again, I don't recommend doing that because that will now turn this website into just a white page. But if you wanted to delete your WordPress and start over, that's how to do it. And I know some of the more techie users out there are probably now jumping for joy because they know how to create havoc on the web. But be nice, people. Alright, now it's time to go and install WordPress. So this is where it will pick up with you in your process, and to do that we can click Quick Install. Once we do that, we can click WordPress under Blog Software and then click Continue, but not before reading the nice blurb about WordPress. Once we click Continue, we'll have to choose one of our domain names to install WordPress on. Once again, you'll probably just have one domain name, but this is a full list of mine. And there we go. Leave this box blank because we want to install WordPress on the root domain and not on something like ourdomainname.com/blog. That would just leave our domain name.com blank. So leave this box blank. Then let's fill in our information and give ourselves a title, which I know is just portfolio. For username, I like first initial last name, but that's really a personal preference. And then this other stuff we could change later if our name in fact did change. Once this is all filled out like this, go ahead and click install now. And I also made sure to enable auto upgrades, which is a good idea because WordPress constantly updates to make sure your site is secure and up to date. Alright, and it says congratulations, your installation is ready. You can access it now by going here, which is just the link to our new website, our domain name, or here, which is always going to be the WordPress login link. The WordPress login link for your new website will always be yourdomainname.com or org or net if you chose that, /wp-admin. So that is a good link to bookmark. And now is a good time to take a break, especially if that annoying propagation process is going on. So I am going to take a break and head to the great outdoors and hit the gym, and then we'll come back and we'll start building in WordPress. Alright, I am back from the gym. It was a great hike over there, and the elliptical was great, except for that creepy girl who was staring at me from the treadmills in the back. And now I'm happy to say that we can cross off the WordPress part of our checklist. So we are done with 3 out of the 5 steps. And it has now been about 3 hours since I took the break, so I'm confident that this will be working right now. We also got this information emailed to us. So if you'd like to close that quick install link, you can, and that email is from no reply. And it just describes the exact same password and the exact same username from the quick install window. Alright. So I'm actually going to close all the windows I have open. Let's copy our password and let's go ahead and try to log in. Alright, here we are. This is our WordPress login page. Go ahead and bookmark this screen. And then let's log in for the first time. If this is your first time logging into WordPress, it might look a little bit goofy. So first off, welcome. And secondly, let's go ahead and do some housekeeping things to make sure that our WordPress installation runs perfectly. If we go ahead and open the website in a new tab by clicking the Visit Site button, or just by right-clicking, rather, that was a right-click. You can right-click this home icon at any time to visit the website. Alright, looking pretty basic, nothing to see here, just the default 2014 theme. And WordPress has gone ahead and installed the 2014 theme instead of the 2015 theme. I want to navigate to Appearance Themes and see if we even have 2015. And we do. So if you want to examine the look of the WordPress developer's 2015 default theme, just click Activate. And then right away you can refresh and maybe enjoy the 2015 look, although we're going to get a completely different look. Alright, for now I want to go to Users, All Users, click on All Users, and then I want to click on Edit on the user that I created for myself so that I can do 2 things. First is set a new password. Something easy to remember that I've used before, and it has to match so I can't type it in too quickly. And choose a new background. That looks pretty cool. But I'll stick with coffee because it's what I'm used to. Alright, with that set, let's update our profile. Usernames cannot be changed, however, you can always add new users, and you can delete users that you add as well. Alright, now I want to go to plugins because there's 2 notifications there, and I want to clean up this page so that this blue line spans all the way across to the top, and that means that everything is updated. Alright, I want to deactivate Jetpack by WordPress.com because I don't want to use any features from WordPress.com. Don't want to go back in time, I want to go forward in time and technology. And I want to delete Mojo Marketplace because I don't want to use their themes, even though I'm sure they're great. And we first have to deactivate it before we can delete it. So thanks for making me click a few more buttons. Next up, I want to activate Akismet because that is the spam protector for WordPress. And it looks like we should update it. Alright, WordPress can do everything pretty quickly. And then I'll activate Hello Dolly because it's one of the plugins made by the founder of WordPress, so it must be good. Alright, with that done, our site won't look any different on the front, but it will look a little neater in the back. And now it's time to add our new theme. So that would be the theme that we talked about originally, and I'm going to add it. At this point, if you'd like to, however, go a different direction with your design, you can go to Appearance Themes and then Add New. And then you can search for any sort of keywords in the search themes bar, like portfolio, and I'll click enter and check out the cool portfolio themes offered in WordPress. This one looks pretty cool, could try that one, and it's free. When a theme says light, it's free, and sometimes there's a pro version that you can upgrade to. But there's a lot of nice themes made by the thousands of WordPress developers on the web. So if you wanted to go any different direction, then this would be a good start for your portfolio website. Go ahead and browse a new theme if you want. I can't speak on all these themes because I haven't built on all of them, but if you have any questions, then wouldn't hurt to ask because maybe I know a thing or two from my countless years of existence on the WordPress planet. Alright, the theme that I want to get though is from Envato Marketplace. So I'm actually just going to look up Theme Forest because that will take me to the theme homepage within Envato, and I'm already logged in, so I can go to my download section, and here's the theme we want. Alright, so you will need to buy this theme, and that's just a couple easy steps, and then you'll get it added to your downloads portal, and you can see I have a nice library of themes and plugins. So I recommend building up your own library and maybe stealing some from my library if you want. Visual Composer is really helpful as a page builder, and Slider Revolution is currently the best slider on the web. Alright, so I need to download this theme, so I'll just click download and then installable WordPress file only, and it will pop into my browser downloads. Alright, now that it's downloaded, we can go back to Themes, Add New in our WordPress dashboard and click Upload Theme right here by Add Themes. Once we click that, we need to choose the file from our home computer. And here it is. It's this one with a long name. And I'll just double click and then click install now. Alright, so it's a pretty big theme and it might take a couple minutes. But right away it will change how our website looks if we click refresh on our domain name. Just kidding, we need to activate it first. And let's try again. There we go. Alright, it is now finally time to start building our portfolio site. Sorry for blabbering so much before, but if you made it this far, you are now much smarter than the average bear. Conventional wisdom might say start populating the site with content and publishing things like blog posts or different pieces of your portfolio, but I say let's get the design down first so that everything we publish sort of fills in a logical manner. Alright, so let's go to our dashboard and let's start building our homepage, which will also be the entire page on the site. If my internet ever works. Alright, so I'm just going to make some basic changes first and then we'll get more complicated as we go. First off, let's remove the demo content WordPress gives us. In posts, we'll trash the hello word post by clicking trash. And then let's move to pages. And in pages, let's trash our sample page. While we're here in pages, let's also add new and let's add the page that will serve as our home page that we'll be adding content to from top to bottom. So just click add new. And then I want to create a page called home or home page or whatever works for you. And then I want to set it to the single page layout. And what this does is it makes the home screen of our website, which is when someone just visits the domainname.com without anything after it, it makes them just view a page that we can edit. So it's not like the home screen is some different sort of entity. It's just going to be a page like any other page, like an about me or a contact page that we might make. And doing this will allow us to put everything on one page. Alright, so once we do this, let's click publish. We can leave the page blank for now. Alright. And we can see our site didn't change except for the demo content is removed. Okay, so what we need to do is go back to the dashboard, and now once this page is created, we can go to settings, reading, and right here for front page displays, we want the front page to display a static page, which is our home page. Alright, so doing this will make sure that anyone who visits the domainname.com will just see this new page we made instead of your latest posts or some other weird stuff like what's in the sidebar over here. Let's save changes. And now let's refresh. And we see we have a blank page which we can start adding the right content to. So that worked pretty well. I know it's still blank, but we're going to fill it in really nicely. Alright, now that we know how to add pages, let's just go ahead and add all the pages we want and get that part out of the way. So go back to pages and then click add new again. And I want a page for social. Alright. And I want this to be the default template, not the single page layout. So having a default template after a single page layout is going to make this page just come in right on the lower part of the home page, which is just what we want. So let's publish. Alright, WordPress will automatically set up your permalink with whatever words you put in your title right here. And if you wanted to manually change this part, you can by doing that and clicking OK. But I recommend keeping your permalinks as simple as possible because Google likes simple, and Google will be digesting all your links. Alright, let's add new again. And let's make a page for downloads. Alright, default template, publish. And add new. And then let's make one for my story. And then publish. And lastly, let's add new and make a contact page. Alright, so we are making new pages now, but the way we're setting up our site, we're actually just making new sections on the home page. Alright, with those pages created, let's see if we have any changes to the home page. Refreshing, and nothing happens. Alright. And the reason nothing happens is because WordPress needs a way to understand how the pages are organized, and that's done with a menu. So let's go ahead and create our first menu, which is the part which will sit at the top of the screen and let people navigate our portfolio site. Alright, so let's go to Appearance and Menus now. This part is one of those things that's tough to figure out if you don't know what you're doing, but really easy if you do. So I'll show you, of course. We have to create a menu name. I'll just call it Main Menu, and then we have to click the Create button. And then we have to choose Pages over here on the left, which again could be really confusing. And I want to choose everything except for Homepage. So I don't want Homepage to be listed on the home page where this menu is going to go, because that would be a little redundant. But instead I want to display my 4 content sections and click Add to Menu. Alright, once they're added, you can drag them around in the way that makes the most sense. And then, before you're done, make sure to choose a theme location, otherwise the menu won't appear. So, main navigation is what I want, and I'll save. With that done, we should see some changes on the site. And now we see these 4 nice sections of the homepage ready to be filled in, and we see the links that let us navigate. But of course, there's no vertical content, so those won't take us anywhere at the moment. Alright, now that we've created menus and pages and have a structure on our homepage that's working for us, I want to change the color of these banners, and I want to change our tagline. Alright, so progressing here in difficulty, let's go to Theme Options, right under Appearance, and this part's pretty easy. We just want to change the primary color, which is the color both of the banners and of the links and of the logo. So primary color, and I want it to be blue because blue is proven as a trustworthy color, and I want to establish trust on our site right away. Alright. While we're here, we can also change the background color of this site, which is kind of this weird off-white, and I just want all white. So background color, white. And then let's save. In this section, you could also edit the copyright, which displays at the bottom of the site, but I don't really care about that right now. Alright, colors are looking better. So let's go ahead and change this tagline in settings and general. Alright, go ahead and write in the new tagline. In our case, that's just a simple website about you. Period. Not comma. And then right here on the website address / site URL, you could add a www. If you want, just make sure that these two blanks match up identically. But I'm just going to leave ours without the www because I like simple. And then save. And refresh. And we now have our new tagline. Now that we have the right structure for our homepage, let's go ahead and start adding some real content. We'll do this in a top to bottom fashion. So the first thing we need is our image slider gallery. Of course, you might have images of your own from your own travel or work, but I'm going to show you how to get some great images from, you guessed it, Google. Alright, and I'm going to look up nature and then click images. Now, a lot of people wonder what images you can use and which ones you can't, and it's a good idea to have that knowledge in your mind before you start grabbing images, because a lot of them look beautiful, but some have different usage rights than others. So, because it's spring, I'm just going to click on the beautiful spring nature section. And now I want to set up a filter to figure out what images are safe to use. So let's click search tools and let's click usage rights and then labeled for reuse. Alright, so that cuts it down a little bit. And then let's choose size large. These images are going in our humongous image slider and I want them to stretch the whole screen. Alright, so you can see when I hover with my mouse, a lot of the selections are from Wikipedia or Wikimedia, which is great because those are licensed under, I think, GNU 2.0, which is free to use for you and I. To gather images from Google Images, just right click and save image as, and this will help you put the image onto your home computer. Then click save and download the image. Alright, and I actually don't like these other images for my website, so let's search for animals. Or more specifically, let's search for a nice kind of animal, the corgi. We can see our filter remains, so these images should be good to go. And this one looks great. Hard to go wrong with two cute, colorful corgis playing around. If the image takes too long to load in Google Images, you can always click on it and find the direct copy, and then hopefully that image will load a little quicker. Alright, and then save image as after you right click and then rename. And I went with a different corgi image because the other one was taking forever and we need to move on. Alright, with those two images downloaded for our slider, we need to resize them quickly, and we can do that using pixlr.com, the free photo editing and effects tool. Just open it up and click launch web app, and then open the images from the computer. I can open both of them at the same time by holding down Control and clicking enter, and then I can crop them with this tool in the upper left, and I want them both to be set to a certain output size, which is smaller than their original size, and which is a 2:1 ratio of width to height. So I'm just going to make them a little smaller on my screen. Or not. Alright, that should do it. So let's just click and then drag and get a nice area to use for our slider. Alright, that looks pretty good. And then I'll control save and replace. And then same output size for the corgis. Alright, just click and drag again, enter, and save. Alright, now that we have two copyright-free images, we can put them in our image slider. And again, you might have other sorts of images from your adventures. You can also use Pixlr to put text on top of the images with the A tool. And then going like that. And then you can change things like the color and the size to make some nice captions for whatever images you're using. And use that mouse tool to drag the text around. Alright, so let's get those in the slider. To set up our image slider, we want to go back to our dashboard and click sliders. And then add new. Alright, once you get to this screen, let's give our slider a title. And then click create a new slide and upload image. Now we need to select files. And I'll choose the corgis. Once the image uploads, you'll get some basic image details on the right, like the size in terms of memory space, the date uploaded, and the title, which goes here. The URL is just a link to the image, so we could put that link in a blog post or a page, and when someone visits it in their web browser, it'll just take them to the image like this, full size. And then down below is attachment display settings, which matters if you're putting this image in a blog post or a page. So we're putting this in a page and I want full size, but this stuff won't matter because I'm going to have the image centered in an image slider. Then click insert into post and create one more slide and do the same thing for the mountains. Double click. And then just insert into post and we should be good. Alright, so we can also make these images link to places on the site by putting an image link in here, or setting up a caption can be cool to have an alternative way of putting text over your image. I'm going to choose this. Right here we can choose how the sliders transfer, and I usually like the fade, so I'll go with that. And let's make the height a little bit bigger, say 640 pixels, and autoplay. Alright, now let's publish. And let's check out our site. Alright, so just publishing the slider won't insert it in. We have to take one more step, which is to edit our home page. And then in the bottom right, under slider, select home slider, and then update. And now we should be in business with a beautiful full width homepage slider. Of course, you can put in as many images as you want, but this should be good for now. And I'll actually make it a little bit bigger so we can see the entire corgi faces. That should do it. Beautiful. So now we also get this cool effect where the slider covers all the way down to the bottom of the screen, and then when someone scrolls, they immediately start to see our other content. So that's just one technique that a lot of responsive websites for restaurants and hotels and things like that are using nowadays. Alright, our site's coming along great, so let's keep cruising and keep adding more content to our homepage. I can also cross off the theme because we already uploaded and installed our beautiful theme. Alright, so next up we want to put some content right below the image slider, and to do that, just edit page on the home screen. Once we're here, we can start writing a little blurb about ourselves. So I'll do that right now, and I already kind of know what I want to say. Alright, there we go. So because I use WordPress so much, I like editing in the text editor, but if you're new to this, then visual might be the best bet. Up to you. Alright, and also in visual we can make any sort of changes, and then we can also use some Microsoft Word-esque tools like bolding or underlining, stuff like that, or any sorts of colors. So that's pretty cool. Now I want to put a video next to this text. So how do I do that? How do I do that? Well, the easiest way I know how to do that. Ooh, I didn't realize we have social icons. It's pretty cool. The easiest way I know to do that is to go to the text editor and to put the video in right here, and then I'm going to show you how to move the video. So I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm just going to get one of my other videos on how to build a website. And then once I have this video screen right here, I want to click Share, Embed, and then copy this code that YouTube highlights for us. So because YouTube is integrated for WordPress websites, we can just Control Paste, and now the video will be right here. This is the video code that YouTube generates for us that WordPress can read, and in visual we'll see this little box to denote where the video sits, but I want it to the right. So how do I do that? Well, because I know this theme pretty well and read the documentation, I know that I can section the page into thirds using the 1/3 command for the text, and then closing it with another 1/3 command, and then using a 2/3 command for the video. And another 2/3 command to close that off. These commands are also called shortcodes, and shortcodes are just one easy way of typing in what looks like English but also has a little bit of codiness to it into WordPress to tell WordPress to do different things or insert different features. And as you learn more in WordPress, you'll realize that shortcodes can be really helpful to save time and insert new features. So now that I've done this, I want to go ahead and update, and hopefully that worked. We might need to put an S after that third, and I can't quite remember. So let's visit our site, and we see that it actually did work great. By doing the 1/3 shortcode followed by a close 1/3 shortcode with the /, and then the same thing with the 2/3 last shortcode, we now have this nicely sectioned off homepage. Alright, looking good, and I just deleted some excess spaces so our text sits in a nice condensed blurb like this. If we click play on the video, then it will just start playing right from our site. And you can do that with any YouTube video you want, or with videos from somewhere like Vimeo. If we want a little more space between the slider and our little about section, then we can come up here, insert some spaces, and then in the text tab, write in this BR shortcode, which stands for line break. So there we go. Alright, so this is pretty good, but to make it look even fancier and to impress our new clients and our employers even more, I want to add a letter drop to the my, so this looks like a little story that you might see in a book. Alright, so to do that we need to install a plugin. Let's go to plugins and add new in a new tab. Plugins are a great way of extending the functionality of WordPress and using new features that developers create for WordPress and for your website. And there are thousands to choose from. For now, I just want to search for simple drop cap because I know of a good plugin to do this. And here it is. So without even leaving WordPress, we can install now and then click OK. And then activate. And then I know that once the plugin is activated, we can make use of it by using, once again, a shortcode. And that shortcode is just drop cap, because I guess this is called a drop cap instead of a letter drop, as I thought. Drop cap. So go ahead and put that shortcode in and then just update. And what that should do is convert the first letter of the paragraph surrounded by the drop cap shortcode to the larger letter. And it worked great. So now you have 3 of these shortcodes in your bag of tricks: the 1/3, the drop cap, and the line break. And I guess the strong is kind of cool too. That just means bold. Alright, so learning a little bit of shortcode in WordPress and a little bit of this HTML and CSS stuff. It's not that confusing after all. And I want to change that color of the simple drop cap, and that can be done in settings, simple drop cap. I just want to make that a blue, just like our primary color, and save changes. And now we're good to go. Alright, I hope you're still with us because it's now time to create one of the most interesting and interactive parts of our portfolio site, the timeline feature. And I've just gotten 4 images from my email inbox to use in the timeline. Let's go to the site and let's go ahead and click on timeline. And then, sort of like with the slider, we just need to add new items to the timeline. So just click add new, and then the title will be used for our reference, but it won't show up on the site. So the first timeline item I want to make is my first blog. And And once I write this out, we can see how it all comes together. Alright, perfect. The timeline also allows formats, much like pages do, but these formats are more visual, so it's important to choose the right ones. And for this timeline, I'm going to do a link because we're talking about my first blog and I want to have a link to it, and then I'll just write out that link over here. So you could link to maybe another site where you have your work or something like that. Alright, that's great. So let's publish. Let's add a new timeline, and for this one I want to call it taking off, and write out another blurb. Alright, so once we have our blurb written, we can choose the format, and for this timeline I want to do an image gallery. Once we click the gallery button, we can go ahead and it says slideshow created with the attachment images. You just need to add some image attachments to the post by clicking the add media button. So what we have to do is enter a couple spaces and click add media. And then let's upload some gallery images for the timeline. Alright, once your images are uploaded, insert into post. And now we can actually delete all these images just by deleting all the WordPress code, and WordPress will still understand that those images go in the gallery. So let's publish taking off, and then let's create our third and final timeline, although you can create as many as you want. And this one is going to be called helping people. Alright, and then I'll just write the blurb. And for video, we just need to click the video button, and here it gives us an example of a video link from YouTube, which is just what we want. So I'll go get a different video of mine, and I want the one on how to start a blog right here. But this time, instead of using the embed code, we just want to use the video link. So I'll just copy the link in the browser and paste it right there, and then publish. So now let's refresh our site, and I want the timeline to appear under the My Story banner. But we can see that nothing changed. Why did nothing change? Well, that's because our My Story section is still set to the default page layout. So we have to go to Pages, My Story, and then we have to change the template to Timeline. If you have multiple timelines, you'll need to use the timeline options, but because we only have one timeline, we can update My Story and actually maybe even write in a little text. If I could type. Alright, now let's update, and now because And now because the My Story page has the timeline format, the timeline should fill in on the home page. And if we click on My Story, then it takes us right to our beautiful timeline laid out with this zigzag pattern. Let's make sure the image gallery is working. Thankfully it is. And the link is working. And the video. Good stuff. Before our timeline is done, we need to set up the dates, because I want these dates to correspond to the real dates in history that they took place. To do so, let's go and edit our timeline. And now we can use this quick edit button, and by doing that we can actually backdate the timeline items to when they took place. So I know that my first blog was created in September of 2010, and I don't really remember the day, so I'll just go with the first, and maybe 8 p.m. after I got off my day job. Alright, now let's update, and let's do the same thing for taking off. So my Adobe trip was until summer of 2012, so it wasn't until the summer that I experienced any sort of real progress, so it really took time, but when I did see progress, it really made the difference and made me happy. And I believe this started on the 9th, and let's just go with the morning. This is in Army time, so we can update. And then, oops, looks like I got those backwards for some reason. So helping people was the YouTube channel, and that one started in July 2014. Alright, end of July. And then first blog was in September. And because it's military time, I guess that would be 20 o'clock. Alright, so now that we do that, if we refresh the timeline, we'll see that we have our new dates representing exactly when the events in our very important story took place. Alright, so your timeline could be all about links to your different websites where you have work or content or portfolio items, and your gallery could be some pictures from your recent road trip, or maybe your travels to Europe or Australia, or just pictures of projects you've built. And your video could just be something about you or your services. But that is how to create your very own timeline story. Next up, I want to set up the social media section and embed widgets created by Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. To do that, we need to go back to our pages. And then once we're in pages, let's edit social. Once we do that, we're going to actually make use of those third codes again. The ones we used in our homepage section. So to set up this social page, before we go and get the widgets from Facebook and all that, I'm just going to write out some short codes. And then I'm just gonna quickly edit them. So once you get the hang of these shortcodes, you can write them pretty quickly, and they really do help you manipulate your site in some impressive ways. So now that they're written out, I want to go over to Facebook, but not to the Facebook site where we all go probably way too often. I want to go to the Facebook like box site through Google and click this link, the link that says Facebook like box, Facebook developers. Alright, and now that I'm here, it says that there's a new version of the like box and some yada yada, but we want the new page plugin. And this is something that's new to bloggers, and it's probably creating some havoc because people used the old code for the past 5 or 6 years, and now Facebook, in typical fashion, went ahead and changed everything up and makes us use a new system. But good thing that we know how to do it. So the first step is to write in the URL of your Facebook page, and if you don't have one, they're free to make and really fun once you start getting some likes. And then we have some options, like to hide the cover photo, like that, and also to show or to hide the page posts. So that's pretty cool. I actually want to keep the cover photo and show the page posts. And it takes a little bit of time sometimes, but that way someone can scroll on my site and actually interact with the posts as well as the whole page. Alright, you can also set the width and the height right here, but we don't really know how it's going to look on this site yet, so I'm just going to leave those blank and we can always edit those in later. And I'm just going to get the code. Alright, and now we have to copy this code just by clicking in the get code section. Just click in this box anywhere and it'll all highlight, and then copy. And now in our first 1/3, I'm gonna paste, just like that. Just paste in the Facebook code. Alright, so that is that. Okay, now let's see if we update, if we see anything. Let's click on social, and all we get is just a link to Facebook, so that's kind of weird. And that is because we didn't install the entire plugin yet. We have to install this part too. And that's the big change Facebook made. They make us install 2 pieces of plugin or widget code. So let's copy this part, and I'll show you where that needs to go. That needs to go in our theme options, and then in the advanced section, that goes in custom scripts. So just paste and save changes. And it's a good thing that we have this custom scripts box in the advanced section, because some other free themes might not come with that, and it would be a little more complicated to install the Facebook box. But now if we refresh, we can see the Facebook widget displays just as it should. So that's awesome. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the Twitter and the Google Plus widgets. Alright, so let's just open up a new page for Twitter. And on this screen, we can go ahead and log in. once we get to our profile page, once again, if you don't have this social media and you want to set up Twitter, it's totally free, and you can even find followers in free methods, like by searching hashtags on topics you like talking about and engaging people, or just by following people in your sphere of interest so that they know that you exist. So let's just go to settings and let's go to widgets. And now we see I have a new widget, tweets by Greg Narayan. But if you don't already have this, you'll need to create new. So we can see that this widget is right here. Alright. But I'll just delete it and make it again. So, guess I have a lot of widgets here. And Twitter lets you create a lot of widgets, so let's create a new one. You can set up a user timeline widget, which is just tweets from an @name, like yourself. You can set up a favorite widget, which are different favorites that you've selected, different tweets that you've favorited. We could set up a list. I haven't created any list though, so that will be blank. Or the search, which is kind of cool, which will actually search hashtags and aggregate them into a widget. So if you have a hashtag for a marketing campaign, like hashtag, love my product, or hashtag corgis or something, then using the search will pull in everything from the hashtag you choose. So, Twitter's very quick. It automatically aggregates all the right tweets. So that's pretty cool. That's a great tool for a marketing campaign. And I'm not sure about collections or how they work, but I think I would have to make one in advance. So I just want the user timeline, very basic, and I want the dark version. And you can even make the links a different color, like the dark blue to match our site. And then we just need to create widget. Once we do that, we'll get to this screen, and we can click in this window and hit Control-A, and then right-click and copy. Bring it back to the site and paste it in the next 1/3 shortcode. And now let's update and refresh the home page. Alright, let's go down to social, and we see our Twitter widget is here, but it's a little bit out of position, so we're going to need to move it around a little bit. Fortunately, I think I know how to fix that, and that is to give the widgets, or rather the widget code that Facebook and Twitter generated for us, a little bit of space in between the 1/3 short codes. So just like that. And then update. And let's see if that worked. And fortunately it did. Alright, so that's pretty cool. And we can see I'm also editing in text over here, which is necessary if you're going to be copy pasting code from other websites. You want to be in the text tab, because the visual tab might rearrange the code or do funny things to it, and you just want to look at it in its plainest form, which is the text tab. Alright, and it's also kind of fun to see the code, and all of this really will make sense at some point once you're forced to edit it for whatever reason. Alright, I also have a little text blur written, so I'm just going to paste that in, and this is just a personal message saying that you really should follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Google+, not just so that I can get more likes or something, but that so we can stay connected and improve our knowledge together. So this page is almost done, but I need a Google+ badge first. which is a free widget, just like the Facebook and Twitter widget were free, and it's just called a badge. So some people don't know that, but now you know that there's this thing called a Google Plus badge, and it lets people follow, aka circle you, right from your website. Alright, so this we can change the width if we want. I think I want something like 268, and then once that's done, we just need to copy this code, and we can paste all of that in here in the third shortcode. And then there's this lined out code. It's just an instruction saying place this tag where you want the widget to render. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to delete that instruction, and then we have to take this script and cut it out, keep that spacing in there, and we have to put that script that we just cut out in the theme options area. So if you remember from before, that's in theme options advanced. And we just got to paste that in right beneath the Facebook script. Alright, so now you technically know how to operate code and operate scripts, which is pretty cool, and you could add that to your resume maybe if you learned a little bit more about how this stuff functions, but not too complicated. Next step is just to save and then refresh to look at our changes, which are now showing up just how we want in the social section. And we're almost there. So you get the picture. You just have to play around with these widgets a little bit to get them looking as you want on your site in terms of the height and the width. Alright, now it's time to set up our download section, where I'll teach you how to upload and link to your resume so that potential employers can look at it and also download it themselves from your website. And I'll show you how to upload a link to music on iTunes and how to upload some music files themselves in case you're a musician. So I've emailed myself my resume, which is kind of funny. This is my resume, and I don't really use it anymore, so it's a little outdated, but I will download it nonetheless. And then let's go back to our pages where we can edit the downloads page. Alright, so in the downloads page I'll just write a quick note like and then for the resume we can just write resume Ragnaryan 2014, and then a note saying please click to open or right click and save as to download. And then we need to upload it. So let's go ahead and click add media and upload that file and select that resume from our computer. Alright, so just double click on the PDF like you would an image, And there it is. Alright, your attachment details will be a little bit different, but go ahead and insert into page because these don't matter. Once that happens, what you really want is this portion within the apostrophes, or rather the quotation marks. So you can highlight everything from the HTTP to the .pdf and copy it, and if you put that in the browser like we did with an image, that'll just show up as your resume once it loads, of course. So we can actually delete this part that we put in and create a new link on this text, which will be our anchor text. Create the link, control paste, open in a new tab, and click add link. Alright, now let's update that download section and let's check it out. So now in downloads we have one link, and if we click it, then the resume will open up just like that, and anyone can go ahead and view all your professional experience. Alright, and then I'm going to change this save as to actually save link as, because that's what it looks like in Chrome. Alright, now I'll write some text like you can buy my music on iTunes here, or download free samples here. And then for the buying part, I want a link to iTunes. So if you go to apple.com/iTunes/music, you can find any music available on iTunes. So maybe we wanted to link to Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran, which is probably not your songs, but what you'd want to do is find your music download page like this. Alright, and then go ahead and just click this link and copy it from the browser. And it's always a good idea to put a link on some actionable anchor text. So everything from buy my music on iTunes here could be our anchor text, as opposed to just here. That makes it more likely for people to click it because it's an actionable phrase that people want to do, lets people do something, and it's more noticeable than a tiny link on here. So same as before, and that's great. Now for the download free samples, it's going to be a little more complicated, and we have to add media again. In this case, we're going to upload a zip file, which is on my computer, I hope. And that is the You Are Not Alone zip, which is my best friend's music album. It's all about futuristic music and really cool robots, so check it out. But the way a zip file works is it's a bunch of files zipped into a smaller file, and the smaller file is useful because you can upload that to the web. So if we double clicked it, we could actually expand it, and we'd get this. Where'd it go? We'd get this actual folder, which actually has 12 different MP3s in it. And then if we highlighted and right clicked and compressed, we could go ahead and put all those files into a zip again, which would be right here. Alright, so that's how a zip file works. You just choose what files you want in there, and then you can zip them together. But we are going to upload the original zip file right here. And it says the file size is actually too big. So maybe if we just took a few songs and compressed them, we could try uploading that sample. Let's try again and grab that smaller sample, which should hopefully work. Alright, while that music sample is uploading, I want to take us over to Google Drive, where we're going to create the amazing contact form to go in our contact section. Alright, so you need Google Drive, which is a free tool, and if you don't have it, then just visit drive.google.com. Once we're here, we need to create a form, and then once we create a form, we'll create a spreadsheet. So click on New, More, Google Forms. Alright, this screen might look confusing at first, so I'll guide you through. Of course, we need a title at first, which will show up on the website. So create something friendly. Sometimes Google Drive takes a little while to load just because Google is constantly updating it, which is kind of annoying. I wish they would just leave it alone because it works great. But create a title. And then you need some questions. So questions are just a way of instructing people what to write in the form. So we don't really need to write full questions. We can just write things like your name, and for the help text, enter your name here. Required, and done. Then we can add another item like your email and enter your email here. Alright, let's make it a text. See, Google Forms are a little bit feisty because Google is constantly doing things in the back end, but they really do work wonders for your business, which is why we're using them. Alright, and lastly, it's a little formal, but you know, you can obviously write whatever suits your business the best. And I'm going to make this one a checkbox system. So with checkboxes, we can create different options which will help both you and your contact categorize what they are looking for. So just things like that. And then you can probably leave this as an optional question, and done. And then that's good stuff. Our form is almost done. So what we can do now is go to the View Responses, which is a spreadsheet that Google automatically sets up for because everyone who submits the form is in fact responding through your form, and Google is just kind enough to create a spreadsheet for you to manage that. Alright, within the spreadsheet we can go ahead and edit some of the details, like instead of timestamp you could write whenever it loads. Alright, once forms finally loads, we can change the headings like such, and then you could even make them a bigger font so they might be easier to read. That's a little too big. and play around, just like you might in Microsoft Excel if you have any experience on that. Alright, of course our form isn't done until it's on the website, but before it goes on the website, why don't we try changing the theme to make it look a little bit more interesting. Alright, and within theme, you can go ahead and choose something like City Skyline. You can also click Customize and you get a whole slew of options, kind of like you have in the WordPress, kind of like we have in our WordPress. Oh great, it looks like our music sample.zip is ready, so let's just insert that into the page. But kind of like theme options, you have these options in Google Forms to design the form. So I recommend playing around and making this really fit your website in the best way possible, because that will probably inspire people to use it a little more than if it looked goofy. Alright. Let's go ahead and click Send Form once it looks like we want. And using this page, you can actually send it to other people if your website involves different individuals that are helping out. Or we can just click Embed. And we'll just actually press Command C to copy. And then click Done. And just actually before we do that, I want to adjust the height so that it shows our whole form, and I think 1000 should be good. Alright. Now let's bring that over to our website. And we have it copied, so we're sort of doing two things at once, but I think we can handle it at this point because we've covered a lot and we know a lot of WordPress tricks and techniques. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave this page for a second and go to Contact and edit it. And then paste in that code from Google Forms, just like we pasted in code from Facebook or Twitter, and write something really simple, and then update, and then refresh. So now in Contact we have this nice Google form. Alright. There are two things wrong with the Google form. The first is that it's not centered, and the second is that the background here doesn't match the white background. I don't exactly like either of those things, so I'm going to change them. And we can change the background first by... Alright, so it looks like what we needed to do to get rid of that green fuzziness around the form was open page background. Remove the background image and then change the background color to white. And for the 100th time, we're good. Alright, our form looks much cleaner. And now we can center it on the page just by using yet another shortcode, which is just the center tag. Make sure to close it and then update and then refresh, and now our contact form looks perfect. It looks like this text isn't even necessary anymore, so let's zap it. Alright, beautiful. Now, if one of your clients or potential employers wants to reach out to you through the form, they can do that. And let's say that I wanted to contact you about booking. Then I could just submit it here, but it looks like I forgot to add the message tab, which is pretty essential to any form. So let's go ahead and click edit questions, add item, and let's put in some comments that people can enter. And that will be a paragraph text and a required question. And now I hope we'll be in business. So let's just refresh. And now we're good to go. So let's test out our new contact form again. And then once your potential clients or employees or potential hookups or whoever it is that's reaching out to you submits the form, they get this nice thank you screen where they can submit another response if they want, or even create their own form if they want. And then right away in our say hello here, thanks responses, we get this nice message that we can keep within our records and respond to whenever we want. Not sure why that timestamp likes being there, but this is what I wanted to say. Alright, so now you know how to make a beautiful Google form using the powerful free Google Forms tool. That can really help you grow your contacts. I hope it does. And there it is. So let's go ahead and clean up that download section by going back to pages. And I don't think someone would just download this if it said music-sample, although they could, because it's a real live download link. So let's go ahead and change the anchor text, which sits between the ahref and the A in the text tab. Let's go ahead and change that to actually, just kidding. We're going to do what we did with the resume, and we're going to copy the link and then put it right on the download free samples here. Control paste, new tab, link, delete the old link because it's just the same thing, and then update. Alright, now let's check out our download section. And we can now direct people to iTunes with that link. Alright, or we can go ahead and have them download our free samples with this link. If someone clicks that, the music from our zip file we created will automatically download to their home computer. So that is how it works. And of course, let me know if you have any questions. Alright, the final two parts of our portfolio site creation are to insert the skills portion, because what good is a portfolio website if it can't show off your skills with some cute icons to boot? And then after that we need to change the font, so we need to show you how to use a new font that you might want in the logo title. And we'll also use that font for the headers, which are the banners. Alright, so then of course let me know if you have any questions and all of that stuff in the comments, but let's get to it and let's finish up our new website. Alright, to put in our skills section we need to add a new page, and I forgot to add that page initially, so let's just use the vertical nav and hit new page. And let's give ourselves a title, stick with the default template, And now let's write out some text. Alright, now to continue this page, we need to add a plugin to add those icons. Alright, so doing some research in Google, I found two good choices, and I realized that the result that came in first is, as often is the case, the best option. So here's the plugin, and we don't need to download it here because we can go to our dashboard and then we can add it here in plugins. So I first want to just publish the page. And now we can navigate to plugins and add new. And then we don't usually need to type in the whole title, just WP SVG, and there she is. So let's install now, and okay. And this plugin has great numbers and great reviews. And activate. Alright, now that we've installed and activated our new plugin, we get this addition to our left nav. So let's click it, and now is where the fun really begins. We basically get to choose any of these icons by clicking on them, and then once you click on one, it will append to the shortcode, which is what we'll insert into our page, this whole bracket to bracket shortcode, which you know all about now. Alright, so this is kind of cool playing around, and the only tricky part is really deciding what element to wrap your icon with, and that will determine how the icon appears in terms of its size and in terms of the spacing around the icon, whether it's surrounded by text or if it's not, or if you want more spacing or more padding. So I already know that we want a div, and we can see that that will also append to the shortcode. But if you'd like, go ahead and try out these other elements to wrap your icons with. I personally just like this one because it will make the icon show up nicely. Alright, and then I need to remember what my skills were. So I think we'll start with this 5 right here, and a div, and then I'm gonna copy the shortcode and open up Pages in a new tab, edit the skills section, and now I want to play around with this page, so I will paste in the shortcode, and then I'm gonna try right before it writing in the skill at hand, and hopefully the word comes above the icon then. So I'll write in HTML5/CSS3 and WordPress. Then I'll just let that sit, and I'll choose another skill. Alright, so this next skill is in the same category, which I'll write in a second, and I'm going to denote it with the cloud. Alright, and then same thing, paste, and then cloud web hosting, because I consider myself an expert on cloud web hosting. And then I just want to try giving this whole area a title. So I'm just going to call this web design, and I'm going to make it bold with the strong shortcode. Actually, just kidding. I remember my more clever title was online. And then the next category of skills will be offline. Alright, so I'm just going to repeat that process, and I believe my offline skills are Spanish, and I don't know what I mean, I believe they are Spanish and cooking. Okay, and then fortunately we have an icon for each of those. The Spanish icon I want to use is this chat bubble, bubbles 4. Alright, so you get the picture. And then cooking, we have a nice little fork and knife somewhere. There it is. And we can see we are nicely creating our skills page with pretty high level of ease. And then other is my other skill category, and you could really put in anything that works for you at this point. But because I can't quite remember what my other skills were from the original website, I'm just going to go with 2 things that come to mind now. And I'm going to go with a Google icon and go with SEO for the title, and then lastly photography. Photography, it's one of my new picked up skills, although I'm really bad at it and I'm practically afraid to use my camera. But we can paste that in and then bold. And with 6 skills in, I think it's time to update our page and take a look at the results. Alright, view page. And we can see the page shows off our skills. Alright, but it's not quite coming together how we wanted. We want the 3 columns, and we also want the icons to be bigger. So how can we fix that? How can we change that? Well, first of all, we can use the shortcode of the thirds method we used at the beginning, and we can section off the page into thirds. So that's what I want to do. And I'm gonna customize these shortcodes with the close slash and the close slash again, and then the 1/3 last shortcode. And of course I'll give them some space as well, so that things look as they should. Alright, now let's update again and refresh. And we're getting there. We've established this nice 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 layout, but the icons are just way too small. So that makes me think that I was wrong on the whole div strategy. That makes me think we should try something more like a span and give these puppies a little more space. So what I'm going to do now is just replace every div quickly by double clicking on it and pasting in a span. Let's see if that works. And span is just another sort of CSS HTML structure which, depending on how your theme is built, can operate really nicely or not so nicely. Alright, so span has decided to float our items to the right, which is definitely interesting, but still not what we want. Huh. So I'm just going to go ahead and try the B, and then we'll see if that's any better. I'm kind of crossing my fingers at this point. Update. Fingers still crossed. Didn't work. Still looks small. Oh geez. Alright, well maybe an H1 would do it. And update once more. Refresh. And perfect. We now have larger icons. Only took me 4 tries. And apologize for that little trial and error section. But really WordPress is all about trial and error, and it takes a lot of patience to get your site perfect. So that was just one example of me needing to do some trial and error, and thankfully we have some nice icons, and I hope I didn't lose you entirely. The final step is easier, and we are just going to center these columns on the page. Alright? So let's use our, anyone want to guess? Center shortcode, and make sure to close it off with the closing tag and update. And now refresh, and we see we've centered our icons, and we could also center our text if we wanted to put this little tag right up here instead. Alright, so this looks pretty good to me. If you in fact acquire another skill, so let's say you become an expert at shopping, well then you can just copy the shopping cart like this, and then keeping your page structure the same, you can easily just paste it into the right category and use the exact same strategy that we created together. And then refresh, and your new skill will fill in nicely. Alright, so I hope you have fun with this section, and I hope your skills span all the way down the page in these columns. Let's take that final step and add skills to the menu by going to Appearance, Menus, and popping the skills into the menus by clicking Add to Menu, and I'll make it the 3rd item, so it's right in the middle of our website. Alright, not too shabby. Alright, for our final trick in the video, we're going to learn how to change the font of our text logo. We're going to do it using Google Fonts, which is pretty fun because this gives you access to hundreds of new fonts you can put on your website to spruce it up. And even though you know how to use these shortcodes now, you really can't write in your skills section that you know how to use HTML and CSS without knowing how to use some fonts. And then you can, once you know this. Alright, so the first step is just to go to Google Fonts and find a good font, and then I'll show you how to put it on the website. Now, let's say that we were just on this screen and it knows that we already want to use Lobster, so I guess Google is just that smart. But you can search anything over here, like cursive or old, just old brings up 4 fonts, and all of these are for use. Alright, so smart old Google knew that we wanted to use Lobster, so I'll just search it, and then just for fun, why don't we grab Lobster 2, because I already used Lobster 1 before. Not in this video, but in a different section. Alright, once you figure out the font you want to choose, you just click on this arrow pointing to the right, and that means quick use. And then it's time to select the different styles we want, and we're just going to go with normal, but if you want, it is possible to upload multiple of these to the website. Alright, pretty cool. So we're going to use normal 400, which is the weight of the font. So when it's bold 700, it means the number is bigger, the weight of the font or the boldness are increased. Next step is to come down to this window and just click to the right, or really anywhere you can, and copy this little snippet right here. And then we're going to come back to our website and go to theme options. And you might already know where we're going to put this snippet of code from Google. It's the same place that we put the Facebook code and the Google Plus code, and it's in the custom scripts. So just make a space and then paste it in, and then you're all set right here. But as you might be able to see, this little advanced area is becoming pretty valuable once you know how to use it. Make sure to save changes. And then it's time to stay in advanced, because we're going to use this window now. So I was just kidding, we're actually not done here. And I'm going to show you how to write some of your own custom CSS. Alright, so let's do it. So effectively putting in that snippet down here, uploaded, quote unquote, uploaded the font to our website. So now we can use it. Alright, there it is. And to use it, we have to tell the website where it goes. Alright, so I know I want it on our H1, which is right here. And this part of the website is called an H1 based on how it was built. I know that sounds a little confusing, but H1 usually means header. And if you right click and go into the inspect element, then you can see that the right section, which is highlighted in blue, if you hover over it, is this header area. And then within that is something called an H1 ID equals logo, which we don't need. We just need the H1 part. And this is another shortcode, and it means that the H1 is designed like this. And we can see it highlighted in blue above. Alright, so that means I've zeroed in on it, and the H1 is surrounding the text logo. So what that means is that I can go back to theme options, write out H1, and then write some CSS, which you guys will need to follow along with. First off, I'm going to write font family, which is the correct way to identify a font. It's called a selector. And then a colon. And then I'm going to write exactly what Google tells us to, which is right here. Alright, so we are integrating this font into our CSS from Google to our website, and I want to write exactly this right here. Alright, lobster 2, and those were actually single quotes, so let's make sure to get that exactly right, otherwise it won't work. Comma, cursive, semicolon, close off the bracket. Alright, so let's see if that worked. We got our code right here, and we got our next CSS right here. Alright, and let's save changes. And refresh. And we get our beautiful new Lobster 2 font in the text logo and in the tagline. Alright, so just to recap what we did, we found a good font we wanted to use from Google called Lobster 2. We chose the style just by clicking this box. Then we followed the steps from Google to paste this code into our website, which we put in the advanced custom scripts. Once we did that, all we needed to do was write in this part, the integrate your fonts into the CSS step, in the custom styles. Alright, so custom styles is another word for CSS. And after we did that, or rather right before, we needed to figure out how to identify the area of the website to change. And that was just H1. Alright, so that's one thing I already knew in advance, but if you want to find other areas of the website to edit, then you can use that little trick by right-clicking and inspecting element, and then we can find different sections of the website. Alright, so a little bit to chew on as you prepare to leave this tutorial and take your website off to bigger and better things. But I will also tell you that if you write out section title H1 and then put in this same code like that, make sure to close it and save changes. Then we can now change the banner font just like that. So that could also be any font that you want from Google. And then just for the heck of it, why don't we make this font size of our text logo a little bit bigger, like 48 pixels. Always use a multiple of 4 and then save. And bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, our text logo looks nice and professional. Alright peoples, thank you so much for watching. You now have your own customizable and professional and very robust portfolio site to walk away from this video and show the entire world. Hope you enjoyed learning all these skills and adding to your online bag of tricks. Please do remember to, if you use HostGator, sign up with the coupons that we talked about, which were coffee money for 1 cent hosting and take 30 off for 30% off your total. That will really help you get a better discount than what's available, and it also gives me some credit for making these videos and keeps me making free videos for everyone in the future. Lastly, please remember to rate the video with a thumbs up or thumbs down, and to post a comment if you have any questions or just to say hello. Thanks again so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Alright, really fun making this for you guys. See you later.